Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. We're back in the park. It's rather warm for a November, but we're looking for our definition of sensorality. Hope everyone's doing well out there. Actually, I don't really give a shit, but gotta do an intro, or no, you really don't actually, but I don't know. Discussing empirical evidence of language, trying to find our definition of what is sensorality. We're really going to this episode return to filtration, right? Because that's our working definition of sensorality. It is filtration. And mostly, at least I have on a personal level, and I'm assuming because it's my intuition, we've also been seeing in censorship as a negative, censorship as restriction, which it is. But remember, right, there are no bad words. Or like, what's the worst word you could call somebody? A motherfucker? Or what are you saying? Your mother fucks? Well, literally everyone's mother has fucked. That is by definition where all children come from. So the point being is there's no bad words. And so if you say shit or ass or again, I don't even know if ass is like, so what is a bad word? But they don't like really exist. And so we've worked kind of out like the negative connotation of sensorality, but at least I have been intuitively, and I'm sure you probably have since you're watching this fucking video, I'm seeing censorship as net bad thing, as restriction. But in general, it's defined as filtration. So all of these words that are defined that have really negative connotation or good connotation, that's based on the context, right? Words have no inherent good or bad, they just are. And so we discussed, do words exist? Yes. And what I'm getting at there is, again, some aspect of sequential elements that are irreducible. Something's going on there where it's just not clear to me to formalize or to say something, but I have intuition where it's like I'm trying to say something. So picking up just again what we've been doing, what is the relationship of symbolicality and sensorality? Symbolicality and semanticality, right? Letters are symbols, right? We've proven that out. Letters represent sounds. Sounds can be structured into syllables or not. What really differentiates a syllable from a word in certain contexts, I don't know. Maybe if, again, somebody at Harvard's won a Fields Medal behind closed doors and they can't publish their result either. But that's all good stuff. But how about symbolicality and filtration, right? If you read, right, like I said, I still haven't done my Russian video. I'm gonna do a bunch of different reading. I'm gonna get back into the language learning series, because once this proof is done, I'm gonna have to wait years again, if I'm still alive, to do it again. But, right, if you're looking at the Cyrillic alphabet and you don't know what those letters represent in terms of sounds, you can't read it. And so you're filtering symbols, right? When you look at an object in the woods and you don't know what it does, you're going to assess its function. And see, like there, like I slurred my words, and then I corrected it, but I know for a fact you already heard what I said. And so it's like we're contracting this whole proof, language contracts, but like in formal diction, if a judicial ruling, you don't see contractions, right? If you're writing something out, you don't say don't, you say do not. Is that really inherently, I just saw a thing on Reddit today, it goes, it is what it is, does not, or nobody says it's what it's, which I've proven on this lecture series. Literally in this lecture series, I've proven that exact identity, that exact property. Is that inherent, like I said, is there an inherent reason? I don't think, in terms of fundamental or something profound, no. I just think when you're trying to be more efficient, you contract, but if you're trying to, establish a point, if you're trying to make a point, you're going to spell out the words in the same way somebody might say, your first, middle, and last name if you're doing something bad, as opposed to just saying, hey, Brad, if you're doing something good or just in a normal context. So spelling it out, I don't think it reduces anything. It doesn't reduce anything logically, but the reason you don't have contractions in a written thing, whether it be a judicial ruling, whether it be a law, whether it be even like a formal paper. I mean, I always remember never wanting to put contractions in there. And just because it's like contraction is just an efficiency mechanism when you're in person. But if you're trying to make a formal statement of anything, a dissertation, a judicial opinion, a legislation, you're going to spell out the words. But you don't lose anything logically by contracting anything. And so then if you do have familiarity with the Cyrillic alphabet, right? If you look at the Cyrillic alphabet, and if you can't tell if it's Russian or Ukrainian always uses the double dots a lot, but more generally, Russian does not use contractions, where Ukrainian does. They both use the Cyrillic alphabet. But also even like Serbian, North Macedonian, Ukrainian, they have a couple different letters as well. And so, but point being is sensorality filters symbols, symbolically. Sensorality is conjugality, right? Conjugates. We made that jump last time. Again, returning, what is a conjugate, right? It's its natural reciprocal is conjugation. And so we talked about, again, why do all of our regular or most frequently used verbs, being, having, why are they, what fundamental difference is being made by conjugating them irregularly, whatever that is representing. But sensorality is a conjugate. What is the relationship of chirality and conjugality? Frequent verbs conjugate irregularly. That's what I was getting at. Again, I write these theorems down, and I just look directly at the camera to try to tell them to you. But you rederive the same things. And so, again, a rederive is not something anybody else has done out there in the world. You can literally see this on a Twitter thread back when I had Twitter way back when, and somebody keeps saying, why do you say rederive? Because I've already proven these identities. Or you don't have to unify physics because physics is already unified. And that's what people don't really understand is I have a personal, it's not personal, but on a personal level, I have the complete working model of fundamental physics intuitively. So all we're doing is this fancy logic shit. Because again, to the average YouTuber out there, physics is completely solved. It's been completely solved for years, both at a theoretical level for about a decade now and on an engineering application level for at least 50. But why do frequent verbs conjugate irregularly? Or if that's not the right, again, what intuition is presented by that difference? In the same way we have prime numbers, and the real thing you're getting at there is there's this aspect of irreducibility. That's the core of what prime numbers differentiate. And so what is the differentiation of having the most frequent verbs being irregular in conjugation? Inception, perception, sensorality is perceptionality. And again, just some bookkeeping or administrative stuff. Like anybody else, I do a YouTube video, I just do my derivations. I have 2 notebooks. If they strike me as enough to be YouTube content, which is just, or something I'd put into a lecture or talk about at a classroom, I put it into these videos. Everything else, there's still important steps. Again, there's no gradation for me, but it's just very clearly like if I'm iterating one vowel or one letter, and it's very clearly a poignant step for me, I mean, it's gonna mean nothing to you. And so, and again, all of the logic is preserved in the letters, so it doesn't matter. But I do my derivation, I sit here and talk, and then when I'm going back and through and editing, that's when I produce my titles. And so the titles is just whatever I sit here derive, and I'm not even really thinking about the overall concept of what I'm talking about. And so when I'm titling my videos, that comes at the end, which I'm sure is very true for a lot of people. I mean, that's nothing unique to me, but just telling you exactly how I make these different things and the chronology of the steps I'm taking. And so sensorality is perceptionality, sensorality is septionality. Speciality is deceptionality, or deceptivality. So now again, we're talking about how we're going to, because the base words are irreducible, and it's this prefix and suffix shit, which is also other words, but it's like chopped up sometimes. And so, but now we're showing in that ality, right? It's still ality, but we're going from deception, right? Absorb, absorbing, absorption, that does something. Deceiving, deception, deceptive, right? TIV, right? VIT is what I called this, vibrational information theory, but VIT is just a syllable. And so I'm preserving that syllable with this concept of VIT. And so speciality is deceptivality. And now we've broken that complete generality of sensorality is quality, sensorality is movality. And speciality, which is a component, a derivative of sensorality, is deceptive, right? People lie, people can deceive. And that's when you're trying to be, you're more likely to lie or deceive if you're an executive at a big company, you're under a high pressure moment, and you're trying to differentiate your company, as opposed to some guy running his farm that's retired and doesn't give a shit about money and is just watching the clouds roll by. Right? He has less motive to lie. And so again, remember, all we're doing is describing human behavior, and we're just showing all of these relationships and identities. So speciality is deceptivality. The poignant linguistical part being is we've went from ality to the V sound in there. Again, I don't know what to say. Sensorality is scientificality. And again, I'm tidying up all of these. I don't need to keep telling you that language is consistent. A theorem is a fact, right? Last time we, again, proven, but it's proven by demonstration. And when you type QED, all proof is demonstrative. We've covered that. But right? A conjecture is a hypothesis. A theorem is a fact. It's just different contexts in which you say those words. If you're not in math class, you call all theorems facts. But they're the same level of logical consistency. And so, but fact, facet, right? There's another just a thing that jumped out at me, right? Fact has that k, that hard k sound, and facet, it softens. And that's the whole cedille in French, right? It's like this, why the C and the S letters, these symbols, why is it sometimes a hard sound and a soft sound? And the hard and soft comes from, again, our anatomy, the logic, the structure of logic presented by the words and the sounds. What else can you guys think of? Discharging is diffusion. Or we talked about last time is charging. But I guess I forget another use of the word charge. But if you can think of the context of charge, go for it. Oh, but like charging a credit card. Like if I charge your debit card or charge your credit card, what am I doing? I'm swiping it, or now am I just tapping it? What am I doing? I'm transacting. So to charge is to transact. But discharging is diffusion, right? If you diffuse a situation, you're unwinding the tension. You're discharging, right? If you shoot a gun, you're discharging your firearm. It might sound aggressive, but you're releasing the potential energy, not potential energy, the tension of the potential movement, the tension of the movement from equilibrium, the displacement from equilibrium created by the gunpowder, right? The gunpowder is explosive, it ignites, it diffuses. And so discharging is diffusion, diffusion unwinds, right? What is a click? Connection clicks. I don't have my pen, but I would click my pen again, and that would be a connection, right? Connection clicks. And so I wish I had my pen out here, but obviously I don't, because who needs experiments when you can just have, again, the words are our data. That's all we need. But if we have to connect the dots, right? Everything is connected. Connect the dots. Nothing is touching, but everything is connected. So we've taken out that chunk, everything is connected, and now we're connecting the dots. So clicking connects the dots. Look at me. Dots are points. Pressure points, tension points, dots. A dot is a point. A click is a point. That's a big jump there, boys and girls, right? When we click our pen, why didn't I bring my pen? I'm a fucking idiot. But a click is a point, right? It's 9 or 9 or 0, we got some bogeys, Foxtrot Alpha. Psh, psh. We're coming in due east, about 10 clicks north. All right, right on point. A click is a point. The ops are about 69 clicks out, is what I have written down. Because like I said, you will see my handwritten stuff. Dicks everywhere. And I am straight, but I just think that's a natural coming of age thing for any human being, is just profusely drawing genitalia everywhere. Whether you're looking at an ancient statue and it's a big dick, or you're kayaking around your local bridges and you see up there's a wiener. It's a behavior that's held its value throughout time, is the phallic symbol, the wiener. Wieners unite. I'm not a public park, I can't say that loud. But sexual antagonism is flirtation, right? Speciality, our axiomatic definition in its entirety, the tendency for differentiation for sexual antagonism. A lot of prepositional phrases, so we're kind of breaking that down now. So remember, our definitions literally, linguistically, have to be contained within those words. And to get it to the axiom is effectively the basis. It's this foundation. And then you can expand, and the emergent properties of something is infinite. And so we're just trying to break down this definition of speciality right now. So sexual antagonism is flirtation, right? We can see that flirt is based on it. What's the opposite of difference? Last time we kind of introduced this, expansion limits minimality. Again, we're forming this false paradox, but we have to preserve the logic. Because remember, sensuality is not a word. Words are already differentiated. I'm showing you where they came from, which is the fact that this shit's possible is kind of fucking insane. Even I'm the one doing it, but it's fucking hilarious. once everybody sees all of the work that goes into this. Because none of this stuff is words. Like, some of this stuff are not words. But what's the opposite of difference? right? Samesies, the sameness, likeness, posing a question to get your intuition. We're trying to figure out what sensorality is. What is the opposite of antagonism, right? We're not in literary class. It's not a protagonist and an antagonist, just antagonism, right? Antagonism builds tension, right? Sexual tension, it builds. You flirt and you're going back and forth. Uh-oh, you're at the club and you're a girl and you don't know how to talk to the guy, so you just rub your hand on his dick. You're a guy at the club and you don't know how to approach the girl, so you just go so weirdly start grinding on her. Weird shit. But it happens. And so what is the opposite of antagonism? You're at a bar and the other guy, you're rooting for the Bengals and the other guy's rooting for the Browns, and you guys are both fat fucks who have contributed nothing to society. But you have to feel like your identity is valid through other people's actions. So you're sitting there arguing, oh no, dude. Oh, fuck, I can't even think of any football players right now. The Bengals quarterback, not Patrick Mahomes, that's Kansas City. Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's the best. No, I can't think of anybody on the Browns. And I'm not like I'm not like some sports oblivious dude. It's not my thing, but I live in the same society you do. The point being is two fat fucks are arguing about sports. They're antagonizing one another. Right now, they're not flirting. Maybe they are. Who knows? Maybe they're into that shit. But what is antagonism and what is the opposite? Right? Synergy. You're working together. You're not antagonizing one another. You're working together. Right? Synergy, energy, the capacity to do work. Synergy, the capacity to do work together. And so, wherever two or more are gathered, you have antagonism or synergy. Just connecting shit. But antagonism creates tension. What relieves tension? Right? Exercise, sex, exercise. Yeah, but again, sex is an exercise. So, I mean, exercise is kind of like the all-encompassing term. But what is exercise, right? Again, release of pent-up tension, release of energy. That works enough, we're good enough for now, moving on. Tendency is natural, right? And if I say the right word is tendency, and we have to introduce that, but it's, right, tendency is natural. Natural is visceral. And so naturality is visceral. And so sensorality, right, we've kind of gotten away, we haven't said that in like 5 minutes. But sensorality is visceral, viscerality. And so that we can hear the prefixingness in saying it out loud. Visceral. What is serality, right? See how close we are to serality? But now it's serality with a C-E-R-A-L-I-T-Y. So now we've almost derived sensorality. Brad, you just said we were going to start deriving that yesterday. I did. Remember, it takes me about 5 to 6 years to generate enough intuition to ask a question that we're going to solve trivially with sensorality. Nice. But visceral is a sense of sensorality. Serality, C-E-R-A-L. Because remember, these letters are symbols. If you're talking to somebody, nobody's making these differentiations. Context already makes it. When I go down to a football game, I already know what everyone's thinking about. It's not even the football game. It's their own personal life in the context of the football game. One guy's over there worrying about his business deal. The other guy's over there excited because him and his wife got approved for their first mortgage. That young lady over there is looking for the cute date she wants to homecoming. But it's just done in this social context. So what is everybody thinking about? Themselves all the time. That's the only person you can really think about. Well, that's not true, but you get my point. But what is serality? C-E-R-A-L-I-T-Y. Because letters preserve pronunciation. And so serality, we're almost there. We've got to be getting fucking close. Somebody give me my money. I hate my fucking shit life. I'm excited because I'm doing science, but my life is actually fucking ruined. God, fuck. Serality is cerebral. Cerebrality is sensorality, right? Your head. You couldn't have visceral, you couldn't have antagonism or any sort of emotion or tension if you didn't have a cerebellum, cerebrum, a brain. Right, so we're deriving our actual anatomy, the words we're using to describe our bodies. But serality is cerebral, sensorality is cerebrality. Life is a solar system, right? You'll see a clip, I was talking to one chick on this Omi TV, and she clearly knows who I am, but because once we get, I'll talk about more about that stuff when it's relevant, or I can show you the clips and stuff. But she literally says, it's like you're reading my soul. But what is a solar system? Again, no letters, right? Soul. Do you have a soul? Well, we're in the solar system. I'm a sentient being, so my soul is part of sentience. But sentience, again, is civilization, right? Everything is the universe. Everyone is all sentience, is civilization, is everyone. That means all life. And so, everyone limits everything, right? Everything, we're again, ing, our base verb, ing, thing is a noun. Every object, everything. Yeah. Everyone is, again, a subset of everything. All living, sensuality with a C is the base of sensuality with an S. I don't need to explain it, but yeah, everyone limits everything. And life is a solar system, right? We've defined the solar system, but it's already well defined. It doesn't mean these 8 planets are. What are we thinking about Pluto, man? I think it's kind of mean we kicked Pluto out. I think we bring Pluto back in. So I don't know what, again, it's the orbital angles. If you're people out there, all of the 8 planets that, Pluto's a planet in my book. But everybody but Pluto orbits on like the same orbital, like it's really flat, like really, really flat. And Pluto's like this. But given enough time, Pluto's gonna be like this. So we're including Pluto in my book of planets. It's like, what is a planet? How big or how small? Again, fractals exist. Size is arbitrary. Proportion is preserved. I think we were so mean to Pluto. That's a bummer for today. But again, solar system is well defined, and it doesn't mean these whatever planets you want to call planets, whatever bodies of mass you want to call planets. Right? Solar system is civilization, the system of all souls. Right? And your soul is your individuality. Again, I don't like that word because it's super archaic and shit, but it's just your individualism, your personality is your soul. And the solar system is civilization. So I'm Brad over here sad because I won't get any money and I can't live my life, and I really can't. Like I said, I have fun with this shit because I am doing the most prolific derivation in human history, and people just treat me like I'm a fucking disease or they don't acknowledge me at all. So Article 1, Section 8, Subsection 8 of the United States Constitution remains violated. Same with the 14th Amendment, the 5th Amendment, I guess even the 4th Amendment, the searches and seizures too. Whatever cruel and unusual punishment is, if that's a clause or an amendment, that's shit. Yeah, but nobody gives a fuck about me. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.